What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only... Oh, I put something up by mistake here. Sorry about that. This is better. This is better. Here we go. That's a little bit better. I host and produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that team, I've reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. As always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Yeah, it's been a minute. Haven't done... Well, this is what... Didn't do Primetime Saturday with Aisha LaLa for 3 weeks. This is we haven't been on for 3 weeks. That's sort of like foreign. And I was on a little bit of a work and somewhat rest vacation. And I'm glad to be back. I don't know if you're happy to have me back, but I'm glad to be back on Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. Looking for epic conversations today. I know the ladies have had some time off, but they're back. So, without further ado, let's welcome Aisha, who's not camera ready because she isn't 100%, but she's here with us today, and LaLa, who is poofy ready. You need to unmute yourself, Miss LaLa. There we go. There we go. There we go. How we been doing?
Roller coaster.
What?
A roller coaster. I mean, it's just a roller coaster all the way around. I had to have wine tonight.
Oh, okay.
You're having ruby port wine tonight.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh God, I can't stand port wine. Oh,
here we go. She can't stand running animals. She can't stand.
But I do like Portuguese wine. I like the Vino Verde. That's my favorite.
Oh,
okay.
I'm not normally a wine drinker, so this is new for me.
Okay. What's been going on? We haven't been all three of us together for a few weeks. What's been going on in your world? Aisha got sick on us. LaLa, what have you been doing?
I actually have been working on a whole lot of things that is coming up to bat real soon. I've been working on my homeowners class. And I'm excited about that. And I'm also working on a homeowner's workbook, which is going to be very in-depth. So a lot of my time has been done on that. I'm also doing a lot of content for my pages, my lifestyle blog, as well as the real estate. So I've been busy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Me too.
And
I've been promoting my children's book. And so getting people to buy that. My daughter's grandfather called her because she called him because he's sick. And he said, "Oh, I heard your mom's got a book. I'm going to buy it." I said, no problem. I'll send him one. Actually, we're going to bring it down to them. And her father also said that he was going to buy one. I looked at my daughter. I said, "Oh, no, he has to buy one. He doesn't get his free." No, he's got to buy his. He's got to pay. But I've been working on something new. I realized that as Americans, we're trying to figure out what to do in this time. And what I realized, and people are saying all kinds of things that, like, oh, how do we do this? How do we do this? And I realized that a lot of people don't realize that collective action happens in 3 phases. The first phase is that you have to prepare yourself. The second phase is that you have to be in community with other people. And then you get to the planning, the strategic planning of the collective action. Too many people want to go to the collective action because they don't realize that they might not be ready for the work of the collective action. We see a lot of that. And so I've been writing this guide called Practically American. A guide to understanding race, identity, and freedom in this time of uncertainty, and how to prepare
Wow.
for the fight ahead.
Wow.
And so
Okay.
I'm working on that. Kind of like a book that gives history, but also a um a journaling guide that allows people to take notes, to ask them questions so they can write down things and assess themselves and get real with themselves about how they are, if they're ready, and how to get ready, and then how to be in community with people, and then how to do the planning.
Whoa. Not playing. You're not half stepping at all. You're going all in, aren't you?
Yeah, because I decided we have to treat this the way I attack communication strategy.
Very good. Oh, we lost Aisha. Oh, we lost a whole pile of people. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, let's have people back. And we got one
Okay,
person on here. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, go
okay.
ahead, Aisha.
What I was saying was that I realized that a lot of what I use in my communication strategy when I do it for other people is um, are very practical, tactical things that actually would work in the social justice space and the democracy space. Because before I do any kind of plan, I always figure out, okay, what am I prepared to do? What can I do? What's feasible? Am I ready to do am I ready to do the work? And how do I
Mhm.
plan my time and things for the work? And then you have to be in community with people to do a communication strategy, because it doesn't work. So knowing who the community is, who's in that community, and how to reach them. And then I go do my strategic planning. Where from the outside, it might seem like I just jumped into the strategy planning part of it. But actually, I did a lot of assessment beforehand. The
Mhm.
strategy is the last step, and implementing it comes after that. But prior to that, there's a lot of other work that has to go into it, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. That's why a lot of campaigns and protests and movements aren't sustainable, because the people doing the movement aren't prepared for the long haul.
I think that's well, I'm looking forward to that publication. I believe a lot of people will benefit from that, and I
I
think it's a
do too.
yeah, I think it's a blueprint that's very apropos for this time in
Mhm.
especially Black history. I
Yes.
think that's
And
fantastic.
one of the things that I'm also going to give some resources for people, but things like, and I think that even though it's going to be largely focused on our community, I think that other communities can take from it. For example, one of the resources I recommend for everyone to watch, specifically white people, is the film White Man's Burden. It shows
Yes,
America. It shows America
yes.
in reverse, where
Okay.
Black people have all the power and white people are in the position that Black people are in this country historically. And I think there are, because I read a lot of these lists of resources and things like that, and oftentimes, and I'm not saying that we should dumb things down, but I think that oftentimes people who are the scholarly writers, and I myself have been one, or
You
people who
still
are the
are one.
scholar,
What do you mean have been one? You still are one.
but people who are scholarly writers oftentimes tend to write over people's heads when they
Yeah.
write these books, and so they also give resources that go over people's heads.
Okay.
That's a
And just
great
because
point, Aisha.
and, right, and just because they're resources that you understand doesn't mean that someone who doesn't have the education that you have will understand all of the academic aspects of it, or the things, the stories behind them. And then sometimes when people go to explain them, they don't explain them as bare bones like we do here on the show. And so I want to do that, take care to do that, but also include resources like films and video clips and quick things that people can look at in short amounts of time. Because I also realize that that our attention span as humans
It's thin.
is
Yes,
very thin.
All
we
right.
Is
have all
very
been
thin.
conditioned to that 3-minute reel, or
Hmm.
less.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We're gonna stop here. We're gonna go to a quick break. We have been around for a while, so there's lots to chat about, but we only have 3 conversation topics, but we're all going in deep, and we have a friend who's going to come on for the first part of our conversation today. We will be back in 30 seconds, and buckle up. Buckle up, buckle up. So we'll be back in 30 seconds. Black Men Can Talk, a show where Black Canadian men come together to have real and filtered conversations about life, culture, and community.
When you speak with brothers who are not necessarily connected to community, they often think to themselves, what can I do?
You look and you compare yourself to everything on that screen and you're feeling bad about yourself.
Look at it as what opportunities can this particular challenge bring?
For it to be publicized, young people have to be at the forefront and not just tokenizing those conversations.
Excellent. That is another one of the conversations that I'm a part of live. Black Men Can Talk. And that's live every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. All right, let's get down to it. Girlfriends Chat with Aisha, LaLa, and Jill Jones on Patreon. There's the link. Primetime Saturday Show Store. There's the link. Join Primetime with Aisha and LaLa Discord group. Email me. It's not a link. It's an email address. dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And then please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Please do that. We're pushed over almost at 1,800 subscribers. Things have been kicking up, partly because of the two ladies that are on your screen right now, because lots of people are kicking into my YouTube channel. The shorts are going fire. Also, follow the Dr. Vibe Show on LinkedIn, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. My producer is moving too fast. Slow down. Listen to moi, producer. Thank you. All right. Now, to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that we're on, please email me, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And also, Indie Soup TV. That is powered by a good friend, Dr. Tachi, out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Independent Content Creators Network, been around for 9 months, has over 23,000 subscribers. Interesting fact, I was chatting with LaLa today. There was a gentleman named Roberto Blake. If you want to know about YouTube, he is certainly someone you need to check out. He did a 3-hour live online presentation or sharing session this week. And one of the things, and he is credible. He is credible. He does not play. One of the things that came out during his conversation, only 4% of all YouTube channels have over 10,000 subscribers.
Wow.
That puts Dr. Tachi's platform, Indie Soup Media, in very rare air.
I love it.
Love it for her. Love it.
Air. All right. Now, our first conversation topic is you know what? We better do our friends because this is going to get crazy. All right. Walamala says, hi. Hello, Walamala. Aisha says, hey, y'all. Regina is good afternoon. Miss you guys during the past cray weeks. I think it's cray days or hours or minutes.
Yeah,
days.
minutes.
Yes, minute by minute is the old Doobie Brothers song.
My God. Seconds.
Fitness IQ Cam says, evening, ladies and gent, right back at you. And also says International Women's Day. Happy everyone. That's going to be our last segment of today. And I've got something special in regard to that. And Regina says, back at ya, Fitness IQ Cam. All right. Now, our first segment is going to be about this little tariff war. And joining us for this segment, the co-star of Black Canada Talking, Cesar Nademamusa, a wonderful Black Canadian himself. What is up, Cesar?
Good to have you.
Hey, Cesar.
Apologies, mic was muted,
And now, and actually, too, before we go any further, I was telling some people about this. There are people looking forward to, especially this first segment today. So, Cesar, what is going on in your world?
Thank you always for having me. I'm good. I had a long week. I was away the whole week. Work, conferences, etc., etc. Glad to be with the family. I'm here with my daughter. She's watching one of those Disney shows, aka she is woke. We make sure that she is a woke daughter. But yeah, no, I'm here. And for you ladies, happy International Women's Day.
Thank
you. As a Pan-Africanist, I remind you there is such a thing as a Black Women's Day, which I believe is July 31st or something like that. Mm-hmm. So happy Women's Day, and us men have to keep doing our work in complementarity, with the ladies to create a better Black community. Yeah.
All right. Who wants to kick it off with this conversation? So we got two Black Canadian kings.
I got something to say.
Okay. All right. Stop. There we go.
You know, I've always seen Canada as really not an extension of America, and I think that's where this part lies. I see it the way it is. We're all on one continent, and they are a country on our continent, just like we are a country on this continent, as Mexico is a country on this continent. And I am just so disappointed, disgusted, embarrassed at the fact that we are treating our neighbors, our allies, like garbage. I'm disgusted. And I think that we have coexisted all this time with minimal disruption. And this one orangutan comes in because he doesn't want to go to jail and blows up everything. I think it is so disrespectful to call someone who is literally a lateral position as you, governor. It's psychological, it's subliminal. And what it's saying to the MAGA people is that, oh, we're really close to making Canada a 51st state. Well, you know what? How about before we make Canada, we try to make Canada anything? We start with DC, because y'all turned down DC statehood. Let's not forget that was in the House and Senate. Y'all turned down Puerto Rico statehood, also a U.S. territory. That was in the House and the Senate. There's Guam, there's the U.S. Samoa, there's the U.S. Virgin Islands. All of these people have some form of representation in our government, but cannot vote because they're not considered states. So until we decide what those territories can do, the territories that can actually vote in our elections, that pay taxes to our country can do, and don't get Social Security from it. So we decide what's going to happen with them. We need to keep our noses out of your country.
Who wants to
You
pick it
can't
up?
even handle America. Leave everybody else alone.
Exactly.
I would,
Cesar?
well, I would surprise you, ladies, because, I mean, so first, as a Pan-Africanist, I am not a nationalist. You know, Canada and even the United States, let's be honest, you know, one of those very right-wing / racist white leader could say, Black people, go back to wherever you came from. We know that. But I am a patriotic Canadian. I've had the honor to represent Canada 3 times in martial arts, in academia, and now at the United Nations this year for the 3rd year in a row. But I would say, with respect to absolutely, you know, when you're saying that you find Trump, all those terms, disgusting, etc., I would surprise you that for Canada, as hard as this relation is definitely bound to be, notably with the tariffs, there is a boom of Canadian pride going on up here. There is a growth of Canadian nationalism, and you know, you named many American territories, which, for those who have any doubt about it, America is an imperialist nation. And a little bit more than 100 years ago, America, the United States, tried to invade Canada, the War of 1812. I mean, the reason Ottawa is the capital of Canada is because, you know, at the time, 200 years ago, it was deemed a little bit further away for an invasion from the Americans than Toronto, which, you know, Toronto, Montreal actually had been at some point capitals. So when you look at it right now, and I'm saying right now, I just sent to Dr. Vibe an article calling for former US presidents to condemn Trump. But even today, Trump is thinking about an increase, a 250 not 25, 250% tariffs on dairy products on Canadian farmers. Unfortunately, but also fortunately, what Trump is doing, and it's unfortunate for American people, but let us remember back in November, the people who voted for Trump, just as the people who did not go vote, aka for Kamala, they deserve what's happening. They do deserve what's happening. This is what they voted for, no matter how, example, when we are seeing some of these Trump fans, MAGA fans, complaining that they didn't think they would be suffering Trump's decision, aka they're okay with injustice until it hits at them. For Canadians, one of the things that he has created, he has literally been bringing the country, politicians just as citizens, together in terms of, it's not against Americans, it's against Trump. But even when you look at the whole world, there is a growth of, the perception of the United States is greatly changing. And as other analysts have said, it is countries such as Russia, obviously, but notably China, that are bound to benefit. And me, as a Pan-Africanist, I want to see African nations basically getting benefiting from the terrible mess this man, Donald Trump, is causing to America in terms of people becoming less dependent, working better together, no matter how hard it will be. Like, the logic. Sometimes necessity creates the envy for better work, better solutions, better, etc., etc. And this is literally what is going to happen.
And here's what I see from American people. There are a lot of us who understand why you are taking the stance that you're taking as Canadians. And what you're doing should be what we are doing in our own country. By standing up to this tyrant, this racist who's in the office, who does not have America at his heart at all. His only thing is greed and power. But the unity that you guys have been able to do in such a short time is amazing. And the thing for me is, with me being in and out of the country so much, I get to see what the world is saying outside of the United States. And the United States is being fed porridge, and it's a poison porridge. They only get fed what the compromised media has decided to feed them in order to stay in the good graces of this tyrant in the office, this false king. Okay, because we don't do kings. As I recall, our whole country came together because we don't do kings, but he has named himself the king. Now, what I am seeing across the world news is that this is not acceptable. And even though people are saying things that they should be, the world leaders are being very cautious about their words, because that's just what you have to do as a leader, a responsible leader. They are taking the necessary actions, such as Canada, to make sure that they protect themselves, and also to make sure that that the world knows that we are not fooling around with this man. He can continue to act like the 2-year-old tantrum all he wants to. We're not going to accept that. And, Poland today came out and said that they will be training their 18-year-old men and older now to be prepared for war, because they're anticipating war. You guys get together and you pulled all of our products because you're going to show the power in real estate, which I can talk about. I just did a whole video about that. Is how this is going to affect the housing market, which is one of the key pain points for America. We get a lot of our stuff to build homes, our lumber, our everything from you, okay, from Canada. And that is going to really affect a lot of people who even desire home ownership. So listen, I am full-hearted American, and I don't want to see my country die. But what I do want to see is what you are doing in Canada to do what we need to do to get rid of this type of thinking. He does not represent America. He only represents his kook AIDS, period.
I mean, we are in our second marriage to an abusive partner.
Oh, well said. Well said.
And you would think that after the first time, we would not have gone back to this abusive partner. But guess what? America didn't like getting nice things, or it is like the cycle of abuse. And I can speak on this personally because after that trauma, you don't, when you start being treated as you're supposed to, it feels foreign. And it's easier to believe that that is not how things are supposed to be versus how things were. People get so used to operating in the space of abuse that what's actually normal feels foreign. And so they found a comfort somewhere in that abuse, meaning that they know how to deal with that. They don't know how to deal with the emotions of being treated well.
Yes.
All they know is how to deal with and protect themselves when they're being treated badly. So America wants to go back to this. And let's be very, very clear. We've talked extensively on this show about how it wasn't the price of eggs. But expensive eggs are the least of our expenses. Racism is what this election was about. And Americans are going to find out that racism is far more expensive than $13 eggs. It's costing.
totally
I can
agree.
guarantee you the eggs over in Portugal are not $13 and $14 a dozen. I can guarantee you that.
And when you even add healthcare, the cost of healthcare for the average Americans compared to the rest of the world, when you add the very reality, I mean, if we go further and we go like notably with the his nominations such as Kash Patel at the FBI, Pete Hegseth at National Defense. Well, is it Tulsi Gabbard, NSA or CIA?
Yeah.
I mean, I am really, really honest in what I'm going to
He's
say.
DNI.
I have family in the United States. I have friends in the United States. I consider you ladies to be my sisters. But sorry to say this, we are in 2025, and it seems like we're closer to another September 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? And you remember how low most of us, especially Black people, we thought about a certain George W. Bush. But look at what we got now and the administration that he got. I mean, my gosh, like I would have never thought. And I mean, I was in my 20s. I would have never thought it could have been like, a president, an American president who could bring down the image and stock of USA as George Bush did. And if we are honest, he wasn't even that bad of a president. I mean,
there you go.
Afghanistan, Iraq, absolutely. We can absolutely, but the form, the manner, Michelle Obama has respect or some respect for Bush, aka whatever is his limitations. But Trump is on another scale, which is dangerous. Yes, he's attacking the lives.
I'm going to tell you what I feel like it is. Listen, it's more than dangerous. It is evil.
Yeah, Bush was just blissfully stupid. Trump is ignorant and evil.
All right,
and that combination is very dangerous.
Jump in for a moment because I want to catch up on some comments, and then I'm going to come back to LaLa. So Jen Meyer says, "Hello, everyone." Fan number one. Also says, "Doing well, Dr. Vibe. Hope you well." Also, I am. Regina says, "I know not one American who supports this assault on our Canadian neighbor and friend. Great points about U.S. territories, Aisha. Leave Greenland alone, too." Cam says, "Sadly but true." She also says Canadians are saying F-A and F-O. And JJ Martin saying, "Good day, Dr. Vibe. Good to have you as always." And Roger Dundas, him and his beautiful wife, Camille Dundas, the driving forces behind BuyBlacks.com, Black Canada's #1 online magazine, says racism is a public health crisis. And he was one of the people who was looking forward to having all of you together today. So he's in the building. So continue on. Sorry for the interruption. I just wanted to catch up on the comments. Go ahead. Lala, yeah, and you wanted to add?
Yeah.
It's just that, you got to call it like you see it. When you look back on the Holocaust, what do people say? People say that, this was an evil man. You have someone in power here who admires that evil man. So he's looking to be in the exact footsteps of who he sees as a great one. The brainwashing is absolutely, I just don't understand it. I wish I could understand it. But that's how people fall into cults, and that's exactly what it is. There was a good friend of mine who is also a realtor, and she always posts things on her page to ask questions, like really good questions. She's definitely not a Trumpster. She wants to understand why people follow him. And today she posted something that she was like, and she posted all of his stats about threatening to take away territories, releasing violent criminals such as January 6th, putting unethical and unqualified people into power, things of that nature. And so the last thing she said was, no one with a shred of decency should still be supporting Trump. He's a fascist. He's authoritarian. He's immoral, and he's 100% anti-American. And what was the first thing that somebody put? You dimmer rats, calling us all rats, are so offended by finding fraud and waste. No matter what he does, he will never be good enough. The other night was proof of what you dimmer rats are all about. I don't know when become fighting for our country makes us rats. This man is obviously drank the Kool-Aid. And as long as he keeps his cult intact like that, that gives him superpower. And so far, even though we see a lot of people that are in the fuck around find out stage, because more and more we are definitely seeing that. People losing their jobs who didn't think they were going to lose jobs, who thought they were a them and not a us. They are now burning the Trump flags, things of that nature. But as long as he has this cesspool of people, he will continue to do what he's doing, because it wasn't until the people of the world and the people of Germany said, no, this is not what we agreed to do. That's when things changed. We are nowhere near that. We are going to see some very serious issues in our land.
See, Lala, I think the problem is in this country, and I think the problem that we have, period, is that at what point do we stop believing that there can be an evil as bad or worse than Hitler come around in this world?
Yes. I don't know.
What point do we stop? Because I think that's what freezes a lot of people from calling him out in that way. They'll dance around it, but they won't say it directly.
Okay, I want Cesar to come back in and give some more of the Canadian perspective also here. Oh.
My mic was muted. Sorry about that. The Canadian perspective is already being felt, notably regarding our upcoming elections. So tomorrow, the Canadian, the federal Liberal Party here, so the equivalent, borderline, of your Democrats are choosing a new leader. And before Trump's coming to power and his remarks on Canada, you literally had the Conservative having a double-digit lead over them.
Over 20 points.
Over 20 points, up to
I read that.
30 points, yeah. And it just melted because the Conservative leader here, the equivalent of Republicans, although he says he's not a MAGA and Trump says he's not MAGA, well, he has had certain comments, including for us as Black people, denial and rejection of systemic racism. So, if you reject systemic racism, you definitely don't recognize DEI, EDI. The linking of him to Trump has greatly contributed to the melting of that double-digit lead, to the point where in some statistics, the Liberals had the lead. Now, I am not saying the Liberals are going to win the federal elections at all, but what seemed like a majority conservative government coming to Canada a few months ago is definitely, if the conservative win, which might still happen, definitely will be a minority. Another impact. So this is actually interesting, and I don't know if any of us here are into hockey, but it is a symbolism of a man as Wayne Gretzky and the pushback against him as he has so strongly identified with Trump, from
Mhm.
wearing a MAGA hat to being at Trump's inauguration and not, how do you call it, not even standing up against what has happened since. People were
Mm.
talking about how he gave a salute to the U.S. Hockey team when they had the hockey finals of the Four Nations without giving the same salute, such passion to the Canadian team when he technically is the symbolic Captain Canada over here. All of
Mm.
these elements, but let's be fair. Let us be very fair. It has taken this crisis for Canada to address some of its issues, such as notably trade between the provinces, in which a federal country as Canada was creating limitations on trade between provinces. Why? The USA was seen as a bigger customer. So the logic of profit capitalism was actually negatively impacting Canadians themselves. So now it has created with Trump. I remember this article, I believe, from the Financial Post, in terms of saying, as hard as right now will be with the tariffs, in the long term, Trump may turn out to be a big benefit to Canadian identity, Canadian politics, and particularly Canadian economics. I remember our brother, and Dr. Van be my witness. I'm not a big fan of him, but our brother Van Jones, he
Ah.
did say something as Trump is enjoying trolling Canadians, talking about the 51st state and Governor Trudeau,
Mm.
although Trudeau is his equal. Van Jones did say if Canada was to become a 51st state, it would be a huge blue/liberal state. Because
Mhm.
as much as Canadians do love Americans, American culture, you name it, it's like, what is it, 80 to 90% of Canadians live within an hour distance driving from the US border. Like, I am talking to you here 45 minutes away from Ogdensburg, where
Mm.
sometimes I will go pick up parcels. So that's how close the relationship is. But it's kind of like time for Canada to truly become the
I
first
lost you, sir.
president. And unfortunately, it's Americans who will pay the harder price.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Americans who will pay the harder price, because I am truly agreeing to the notion that when you're having an unelected person as Elon Musk and his 20-year-old something musketeers slashing left and right, aka chainsaw slashing,
Mhm.
this is to benefit the billionaire class. I don't
Mhm.
do conspiracy theory. I'm not a conspiracist. But with Trump, as he himself has never denied being a transactional president, someone is winning, and it's him personally, his family, Jared Kushner example,
Yes.
but also
Mhm.
those that he has around him, such as we can see the volte-face of people like Musk towards Trump, people like JD Vance towards Trump,
Mhm.
people like Mark Zuckerberg towards Trump, and even when we look at what's his name, Mitch McConnell,
Mhm.
Yes.
somehow starting to grow back a certain spine. I'm even reading about Marco Rubio. Americans are going to suffer, and I'm not just saying the midterms coming and the votes, but when we are seeing
Mhm.
some MAGA voters, some Trump fans at the town hall rallies starting
Mhm.
to voice the concerns and protests and boo the very Republicans they
Mhm.
largely elected. My question is, how long until we have those massive protests like we can expect in the summer? Number one. Number two, will the Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, and other MAGA retards going to be there to maintain Trump's order, but really,
Mhm.
how long until there might be a revolution within America and the confrontation, not so much between those who vote Democrats versus those who vote Republicans, but the confrontation between those who vote Republicans versus those who are MAGA hardcore.
Mhm.
That's what I'm seeing, because that person who voted for Trump now is suffering it. The Canadians who were supporting Trump, they're also going to feel it.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, there's something that you said a while back about another 9/11 that really struck me, because I think that people forget. People think about 9/11, September 11th, 2001, in a bubble, and
Yeah.
forget that the first time they went to attack the World Trade Center, they tried from the bottom, from the garage. Remember, in 1993, that truck exploded underneath in the garage of the World Trade Center, and it
True.
didn't bring it down. And the thing that they learned was that they had to go from the top and with more fuel. So they chose airplanes, right? And one of the things that, when you said that, clicked in my head was, oh my God, remember correctly, 2001, there were a lot of plane crashes, and we had a lot of things in the airspace. Even Alita's plane crashed just weeks before 9/11. Okay.
Yes.
What are we seeing now? They cut the FAA folks, right? And now we see two plane crashes. And then what happened, yesterday or day before? Elon Musk's Starlink thing exploded again, making
Again. That's the
the
key word.
airspace
Again.
making the planes have to explode, have to circle the air, because there was too much exploding stuff all over the place, right? And I thought about that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this might actually be the first time that there is a 9/11 type attack on this country from within the country,
Yes.
in order for him to go to war elsewhere.
Yes.
And let me put it to you like this. So this is so to put the Canadian context, 1970, there were some hardcore Quebec independentists, the FLQ, Front de Libération du Québec, so the Quebec
Mhm.
Liberation Front, who basically started a series of political assassinations that led
Mhm.
to what is called the war measures. And what that basically gives, that in that situation of war, so again, I am not a conspiracy theorist. My friends who are conspiracy theorists will absolutely deny me to be one of them. But history doesn't repeat itself, but history teaches us about the present and the future.
Yes.
What happens if you have a context in which there's an attack on America, whether domestic or foreign, aka America, domestic or foreign enemies? The president gets to stay. You don't get elections.
Right.
You don't get elections until basically the American equivalent of war measures. We can look at, we just need to look back at, for example, and I might be wrong, if anyone can correct me here, Pearl Harbor, the context of World War II, FDR ended up becoming the longest serving American president because of the context of war.
Well,
Yes.
also we also at that time did not have term limits. They
That too.
he is the reason they put in term limits. And the other thing, and what you're saying makes perfect sense, because one of the things that people thought was that one of the reasons that George Bush won again was because we are in war. And what you're seeing with what you're saying, it makes everything's clicking. It's like this is how he's going to justify us not having an election in 2028, or what Lindsey Graham Lindsey Graham put forth a bill to have him get
A third
a
term.
third term. And that is going to be their justification for doing that.
That is absolutely what I'm thinking. Either an enemy, a foreign enemy, a
Mm-hmm.
domestic enemy, such as Antifa, woke mob, whatever you call it, or basically such a claim of civil unrest with manipulation of
Mm-hmm.
electronics with someone like as Elon Musk, aka a grab on power
Right.
to maintain, kind of like African dictators, basically dying on the throne. Because he
Mhm.
knows once he's out, and if the Democrats take power again, he can reactivate the lawsuits against him because
Mhm.
Jack Smith didn't
Right.
eradicate them. He technically put them on hold during the duration of his
Yeah,
office
exactly.
Yep.
till
Exactly.
2028. So
And you know
Trump
what, too?
basically has to die on the throne.
Right. And remember, Elon Musk owns the airspace for several of our enemies. It would
Yes.
be, and he controls the satellites. It only takes him to push a button to send one of their missiles elsewhere in this country instead of where it's supposed to go. If they're
Yeah.
doing a rocket test, like South Korea is slated to do its rocket test over the summer, like they usually do. It wouldn't be anything for Elon Musk to let's redirect this toward what state do I hate? Let's pick a blue state. How about New York again?
I
Or
wouldn't
better
put it
yet, no,
past
not
him.
New York. How about California? Because it's easier to redirect from South Korea to California if you know if you know geography, world geography, right? And Trump hates California anyway.
Oh, honey,
So
that's
yeah.
a major target for him.
Oh yeah, it's a major target for him, and no amount of butt kissing from Gavin Newsom is going to help.
I want to jump in here. From the American side, Lala and Aisha, what are the Americans you do communicate with? What are they thinking about this trade war with Canada? Are they
No
even
one likes it.
I hate
No.
to say it, but I only have a one-sided view because I like to try to get all-sided views. But in this type of situation, you really can't talk to the other side because you're
Mhm.
never going to get an honest conversation. Everyone
Yeah.
that I know thinks this is dumb. Everyone that I know thinks this is the most stupidest thing that's happening. Everyone that I
Mhm.
know has actually expressed the same thing that I feel, which is I feel helpless and hopeless in a way about
Mhm.
this. And I hate feeling that way. Does it mean I don't fight? No, I still fight. I pick up and fight every day in any way that I can by informing people or doing something or calling my congressman or whatever. But as for talking to them, just as I told you, just as I just read to you, that was real time. That was just in less than 30 minutes. That's what you come up against. You cannot have an honest conversation. So unless you are actually seen in the media or like by these other companies that are not compromised by, the media is not compromised, you are finally starting to see the farmers getting upset. You're finally
Right.
seeing the people who voted for him, and now they're seeing that this is not what they wanted, and now they've changed their minds. Unfortunately, it's too late. But you have to
Yeah.
dig deep. You really have to dig deep to find someone who has actually said, "The fuck did I just do?"
Right.
Because they don't want to. They don't want to show you that.
No, it's kind of like when you try to talk to a racist about their racism. MAGAs like that. They picked up all their gaslighting techniques, they sit and watch Fox News so much that they've learned the tactics of the host and they employ that in everyday life. And
Yeah.
I think the thing for me is that are they finding out? Yeah, Tennessee and Kentucky are going to be screwed
Oh,
because
baby.
a
Tennessee and
big portion
Kentucky's
of the
finding
money
out.
from them is in whiskey.
yes?
In Canada,
You are
it's like,
talking about my
no,
state.
but
You are talking about
California.
Louisville, Kentucky. You are talking about I am part of the whiskey, the bourbon. This was what we grew up on. And this was also a big fuck you to Mitch McConnell because he's the one who's supposed to be protecting Kentucky. Am I right or am I
Mhm.
wrong? He's the one. So he's letting this happen. Listen, Jack Daniels supported Trump. Okay.
Right.
Not only did they give to his campaign, they sent bottles upon bottles to the inauguration and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And what did they come out and say this week? This is worse than tariffs for us.
Yep.
We're
And
losing everything.
Rand Paul of all people got some balls
Yeah.
and spoke up because it's going to hurt the state. And the bottom line is this. These people they literally think this way, that I would rather have no access to the hospital down the street and have to drive 2 hours because I have a car than to have a hospital down the street in my area that Black people and the Mexican immigrants
Have
and
access
have
to.
access to, and the women have access to for their women things. This is literally how they think. And you take a state like Mississippi. Mississippi's biggest export is racism.
Always has and always will be. Always has and
Always
always
has,
will be.
always will be. It is a state to the point that to the fact that they do everything to harm even their poor white people because they still won't give up the ghost on slavery. They want to keep
rooted. They are rooted deep.
they are so deep, and that's why that phrase. You look at Mississippi now in 2025, and you realize, oh, that's why slaves on the plantations in South Carolina and Georgia would hate to be sent down the river, because that meant they were being sent to Mississippi, and all the slaves in all the other states knew how bad Mississippi was compared to how bad things were for them where they were.
Yes.
And we know all the lynchings. We know about Emmett Till. We know about the three civil rights workers. Mississippi has been this way, and they still want to be this way, unless you touch their education. Who knew that would be the thing that would be their line? Who knew that would be their line? They have the worst education in the country. They are 50th in education. But
I want to stop for a bit. I want to stay on topic on this regard. So Roger Dundas says the U.S. tariffs has caused Canadians to start unifying across party lines and also buy more Canadian goods and services. We needed that. Cesar, do you feel whatever the result of this is, Canada will turn more and more away from the United States and to other countries around the world?
And that it will be relative to what happens in the next between this summer and 2028. So there is a matter of duration. The longer it takes, basically a new Canadian government coming, new deals, the impact it can create on the people, but also the reactions in the US. And when I say reactions, I'm talking, are there going to be states that will dare to go against Trump's order? Because if one state and more states are to do it, and you lose, and I mean, we're talking about Canada, but let's not forget, on the other side of the USA, you have Mexico that would be taking countermeasure tariffs that greatly would impact Texas, Arizona, and those states that notably have a large Mexican population. So for Canada, there will be a greater incentive to have with other nations. A perfect example is there are right now talks regarding making Canada a non-European member of the European Union in terms of trade.
Whoa!
Well, yeah, because the thing
That's
is,
major.
Canada has major resources,
yes,
but because of the size of our population, the demographics, less than 40 million or 40 million about, and also because of how do you call that? The fact that we all live, like 80 to 90% of Canadians living an hour or about from the US border, you basically end up having a very large country that is greatly inhibited. I'm saying this with respect to Indigenous and Inuit people who they don't really take a measure of. So for Canada, unless Trump would really cross the line, such as an invasion of Canada after wreaking economic havoc, but this is where Canadians coming together on economics, how long will it last, and the impact it will have on the Canadian psyche. Like, this is not a hockey game where they're always talking about 1972 when they beat the Russians. This is not even 2025 where they were beating USA in final. This is a generational thing.
Yeah.
The longer it lasts, the more painful it is. But the longer it lasts, the more it will have an impact on Canada truly becoming independent. Independent, the monarchy with England, but also the economic, military, and cultural relations with the USA. And I'm saying this
Mm,
as notably more and more Americans are moving to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
mm,
Those who are here are wanting to get rid of the American passports. It doesn't feel safe.
mm.
More and more Canadians are canceling the trips to the US.
Yes.
Yep.
Those in the US, the snowbirds, and many of them Quebecers, French speakers in Florida, they're coming back to Canada. The longer it lasts, but also how it lasts. What kind of summer? I mean, Black people, it's gonna be a hot summer for those
Mm,
brothers and sisters who voted for Trump. How
mhm.
is how are some of these white police officers react to those who look like us in the protest? How many George Floyd? How many Sandra Bland are we going to have summer 2025? The
But you know what
reactions
though?
that will come from this
He's
summer
planning
will
for
shape
that.
the next years to come.
Yeah. But you know though, a lot of those Black Republicans, those Black MAGA, I watched video of them at the Black History event.
They are
These are people
terrible.
that they're terrible, but I realize that a lot of them, specifically the men who feel the need to lecture the Black community, like Byron Donald, are married to white women.
Yes.
It's like you're lecturing your own community. But you're right, Cesar, about the states having to do something because, like my state, for example, by the end of February, had 6 lawsuits against Trump. We're going to have another one over education, and I have a feeling that we might have additional one over the tariffs. And what you said about I guess the idea that this is going to encourage us to build things in America. You actually have to have the resources in order to replace the things that we get from outside the country. We don't have the resources. We don't have the climate to grow avocados and things like that. We don't have we don't have the number of trees to do the lumber the way that Canada can for us. Why? Well, one of the things is because we're always so parched and all of our forests are on fire.
Mm-hmm.
So
But not
because
only
most of
that, Aisha, we don't have the wherewithal for trade schools, for
people don't.
education. Nobody is learning these things. It's going to be a whole nother generation before people learn how to do these things.
It's
But
not
there's
going to
also
be a whole
something else.
generation when these
Incentive.
kids find out that they can make money as content creators and influencers. Nobody wants to go and cut trees for a living. That's the
Allow me, my
bottom line.
sisters. Allow me, my sisters, to say this very small point. Remember that brown guy who was supposed to be part of Dodge? Why did
Uh-huh.
he get cut
Yes.
off?
Oh,
For
because he
bringing that
told white
very
people
fact.
they were mediocre.
He dared to tell white people the truth, and those white people reminded him, "Hey, you the brown guy on the team, jumping ship." And for the black
Mhm.
Republicans, and here this is a message notably for our brother. Sure, I always get mistaken for his name. Sure, Michael Singleton.
Oh God.
Yeah.
This is why
The-
he was dismissed from Urban View 126 on Sirius XM Black Talk Radio.
Now, I didn't know about this, but okay, please tell me
Mhm.
more.
Oh yeah. Oh well, I listen to Urban View 126 Sirius XM all day,
Okay.
every day. Black Talk Radio, excellent programs. I love them. He had a show on Saturdays from like 2 to 3.
Okay.
And it was when he started becoming less. I mean, he used the Republican view. He had some things like, Black people should be arming themselves and learning how to shoot, get weapons, and things like that people were okay with. But when he started talking out the side of his mouth in ways that Black people were like, nah, we're not with this right now. We are trying to figure out how to build community. We're not trying to go with the conservative route. He really did not realize who his audience was. And I guess he thought that he could be in the space for Black liberation and having a view that was different than the people who actually listen. But it was a lot of comments that he was saying outside where the listeners were like, hey, he's got to go. Hey, he's got to go.
Wow.
Allow me very quickly, just because I realize the
Mhm.
time and I have to
Yep,
go.
no problem.
But this is notably for African Americans, this is the poison of black ideologues such as Thomas
Mm-hmm.
Sowell that became the black card to white racism.
Mm,
Our black Republicans brothers are literally learning the art of deflection and lying from the white
mm,
MAGA, not just white Republicans, from the white MAGA that they're looking up to emulate and to be allowed in the room. Just as we've had, example, Trump's inauguration on January 20th, black pastors will literally repeat the ideologies, the mindset of white Republicans, very conservative pastors. They try to apply that to the black community in terms of, painting us worse than we are.
Yes.
Those
mm,
black people will eventually have to suffer the choice of the votes because, as I'm saying, we are now in March. It's going to be
mhm,
a hot summer that will define even
mhm.
whether Trump will get there to 2028 or if America is not going to revolt. Like, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. It's one thing to vote for anyone. It's another thing if whoever you voted for is impacting your wallet and the quality of life of your family.
Yes.
Because
Yeah,
because
it is.
a lot of the
And you know
issues that
what?
the Western world has can be fixed, but the people don't
Mhm,
have the incentive. It's a bit hard to tell people, let's go back to the 1950s, but Trump is trying to bring it back to the 1920s when
mhm.
literally trade with Canada and Mexico is something that was normal. An open world,
Yes.
open
Yeah.
borders. But now you're telling people, let's go back to make America great again. For who? When? It's going to be a
We
hot
know for
summer.
who.
Right.
We know for who,
Oh, we
but
know for who.
All right, Cesar, I know you got to jump. I'm surprised the boss of the house hasn't jumped into the screen as she usually does. But again, always a thanks. And you can catch Cesar most Sunday, actually every Sunday afternoon live on Black Canada Talking, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. And his appearances get very good views on the YouTube channel.
Thank you.
So you wonder why? You'll wonder why now. So as always, Cesar, to you and the family, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. If you're not making money, make history, and always make it better. We'll see you tomorrow.
we appreciate
My
you.
sisters,
Thank you.
Take
in
care.
solidarity to my sisters and my brothers in the States. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye,
Very
everyone.
well.
Thank you.
All right, Cesar is jumped. Ladies, wow. Wow. And if you're watching live on the Dr. Vibe YouTube channel, I have a poll. Do you support 47's trade war? So you can certainly vote in real time. If you're watching the show in real time on my YouTube channel, you can put in a vote. Some comments here. JJ Marr says Mississippi is in a tie with South Carolina with racism.
Well, you know what though? I lived in South Carolina and I've visited and presented at conferences in Mississippi. And I have to say, I was happy to go back to South Carolina.
Okay.
But
And
you know how I feel about Mississippi.
Okay, we'll stop. All right.
But then again, I had to leave South Carolina and come back home to Connecticut. So that should tell you.
All right, we're gonna jump on. I know we're supposed to have there's some topics I want, even if we get quick takes that have happened since we were away, and there were some things that have happened recently.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go in reverse order on something that apparently happened yesterday. Musk Rubio clashed in front of 47 during a cabinet meeting yesterday. So there seems
apparently he loved it.
Dog now. See, this is what happens when someone wants someone within the whole power thing. They want this power. They become jealous of one another. They start to eat their own. We are now going to start to see this because now they all clamoring to be number one underneath the 10 ring. They all now see themselves in the position of what Trump is right now, and that's what they desire, and that's what their hearts want. We're going to see more of this, and I'm here for it. Bring me the popcorn.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and I think this is the problem. When Trump talked to these people, it is very clear that he promised them each something
Yes.
for their support and their devotion.
Aisha, you hit it right on the head.
But they're not getting it, the power and control that they were promised, because Elon Musk is going over their heads. He's firing people in their departments. Apparently, no one in the cabinet really likes him right now. But Marco Rubio was the only one to speak up. I predict this. Marco Rubio will be out by December 31st.
You think he's gonna make it that long?
I think he will go a full year just to have a full year behind him. But I don't think he has the stomach for this. And I understand, Marco Rubio, let's not forget, he has presidential aspirations. And so his main reason for taking this job was because he was trying to take the Hillary Clinton route. Senator, Secretary of State, presidential candidate. That he was trying to go that route. But this clash between them, the reporting that I read and what I've heard from other reporters is that Trump sat back in his chair with his hands crossed and watched it like it was a tennis match. Because you know what? He's looking at his cabinet as an episode of Survivor.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's all a reality show to him.
Yes.
It's all out reality show to him. And whoever eats the most people is the winner. And it's like, it's like, think about it. And JD Vance why do you think JD Vance did what he did?
He wanted to play daddy.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get.
I don't even think that's it. But the thing is that as far as the cabinet is concerned, I think it was, oh my gosh, I'm not getting as much attention as Elon, so I'm gonna do something to get attention. And they're all doing these things. Like even Linda McMahon. I was thinking about this earlier because Linda McMahon, for example, being in the cabinet, I'm like, why would this woman take a job to eliminate the agency, which would also eliminate her position?
I know, right? Makes no sense.
No, but it does make sense when you realize what happened with those 10 Democrats, and we're going to talk about that. But Jim Himes being one of them. Guess who lives in Jim Himes' district? Linda McMahon. Guess who lost running for senator against Blumenthal and Murphy 3 times? Linda McMahon. So guess who she could run against primary with no problem because of money and being in another position? Jim Himes. That's the only reason he did that. And I hate him for that. But I'm going to tell you this. Why would she do that? Because DOE, I promise you, will be closed in 2 years. I promise you, because in 2 years, she's going to want to run for something. But we're seeing this with all these other organizations too. Tulsi Gabbard told Elon, get out my office. She told her people, don't listen to him. You don't have to send those emails to him, because they're tired and they're frustrated. And I bet you a lot more was said than just Rubio and Elon going back and forth.
You can bet it was.
I think that's all we heard because somebody in there let it leak.
Yeah.
But no.
So Regina says MAGA is incapable of dialogue. They just parrot propaganda. They have no idea what is going on. The GOP wants to stop town meetings because the constituents and red states are starting to get it. FAFO. Regina also says that Marco will be out by May. He should leave now and rat out 47. He was at that meeting with the Saudis and the Russians. She also says Linda can't run. She is sitting on a mountain of crimes with her hubby.
Yes, she can. She already did it before. She had the crimes before. I'm telling you.
Wait a minute. Let me make something very clear. Trump did too, and look at what he is now.
34 felonies. But here's the thing: Linda McMahon couldn't win statewide. Because remember, senatorial races are statewide. She lost 3 statewide races. But I think that she thinks she can win her congressional district because it's more local. It's not statewide in a state that has like overwhelmingly blue.
All right. So that was a quick one, but let's keep a watch. And it seems that Republicans can get elected, but it's another thing when they try to govern.
That's a great point.
That
That's a good
seems,
point.
that seems to be a little bit of a challenge for them. And man, I would have loved to have been a fly on a wall in that cabinet meeting. That sounded like it was. That must have been entertaining. And Marco Rubio, after hearing about this, I'll see how long he lasts. And apparently, there were some of the cabinets saying like, "Why did we didn't give you the authority?" There's a big clash, but I've heard that 47 has told Elon to back off.
Yeah. See, if he were to leave in the summer, it would look more like he was against Elon, which some of the MAGA against Trump. That's why I think he would wait to the end of the year, because think about it. A lot of secretaries of state usually leave after a year or two. They don't stay. They rarely stay for a full term. So that's why I think that he'll leave at the end of the year, so that he can say, I left because I'm considering something. There's a run for that, but then remember, Florida also has a gubernatorial election coming up.
All right.
That's right.
Yes, which I think Byron Donald is running in, I hear.
Right, but I think that Marco Rubio might put his hat in and will definitely get Trump's endorsement over. I know Byron Donald's Trump kind of semi-endorsed him, but I think that Rubio might get over Donald's head with Trump for an endorsement that way, because when it comes down to it, who's he going to do? The white-looking Latino or the black guy? We already know that. We already know Trump's number.
The Walamala says only a matter of time before 47 and Elon clash.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But you know why I say no? You know why I say no? Because it's kind of like Trump and Lindsey Graham. Trump has something on Lindsey Graham that has nothing to do with how he presents his sexuality. Because guess what? That's a known thing in South Carolina. When I lived there, and I worked in government, everybody knew that. But he's got something on him. I think I know what it is, but he's got something on him. And it's the same way with Musk. Why was Musk given unchecked power? Because there's something that Musk did to interfere in this election. And that if Trump were to cross him, Musk will say it, and then Musk will leave the country. And he has enough money to not be found.
All right. Just update the poll on the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube channel, which is in real time. Do you support 47's trade war? Everyone's saying no. That's responding to
100%.
100%. So that's no one is supporting. Keep on voting until the end of the conversation. I should have put it up sooner. My mistake, but I was so engrossed on what everyone was saying. Regina says, Elon is increasingly drug-addled. His business are going down the toilet. He texts 22 hours a day. He is melting down. All right.
Well, can I say something on this, please?
Mm-hmm.
Because, as much as we are seeing, and we did talk about this on Jill and I on Girlfriends Chat, I believe last week. I've really been following the stock of all these billionaires. We are putting a dent into the situation of them and their money. But with Musk, I don't think he gives a flying cahoodle about him losing all that he's losing with Tesla, because of all the government contracts that he is getting and all of the government money that he's getting. He's willing to let Tesla burn. And so, that he may be losing money in Tesla, but he is gaining so much more, 4 or 5 times more on what he's doing by being with Trump.
Because he knows government money is more reliable money.
He's got it. He has to help him launch.
Yeah, because he knows that government money is reliable money. His business stuff is not reliable. It's at the whim of the markets and at the whim of where consumers are. And so remember, and there are things that this is the thing about legacy media that is frustrating me. What people don't know is that Elon Musk has diverted some of the federal monies that they've cut in salaries and other things to his projects.
Yes. In
the mainstream media, this is the part that should piss people off. If you are a MAGA person and you got fired from your job because of Elon Musk cuts. You should be pissed as hell to know that your $60,000 a year check is now his. And I promise you, he's not getting the $60,000 spread out throughout the year like you would. He's getting a lump sum payment in like 3 different installments over 3 years.
All right, let's move to our next conversation topic. Earlier on this week, 47 was in the House of Representatives, and Democrat Al Green went.
I was like, I don't want to talk about the State of the Union. I'll talk about Al Green, but I don't want to talk about that.
Okay, go ahead.
But you know what? Let's be honest. That's not the State of a Union.
It wasn't a State of the Union.
You can't have a State of a Union till at least a year. This was nothing but him trying to do a look at me move. And we knew that's exactly what it was. And this is why Aisha didn't watch it. I didn't watch it. And almost everybody that I know didn't watch it because it's a sham and it's a farce.
No. And here's the thing. Usually we get word of the presidential address like 2-3 weeks out, right? The State of the Union, 2-3 weeks out. And usually if the first time they do it, it's either the first year or after the first 100 days. His first 100 days isn't even over. And this man, he had this thing because he was trying to change the narrative and control the media narrative yet again, because he didn't like the fact that the press was bad about the thing with Zelensky.
Exactly.
All right.
And I'm sorry. I do want to say this thing about Al Green. When it comes to the censure, the 2 howler monkeys, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, when they were heckling Joe Biden last year, Republicans didn't censor them, Democrats didn't censor them, and they probably should have. But they censored Al Green, and Al Green didn't heckle him. He basically told him in a response to what Trump said, because Trump said he had a mandate. He said, you do not have a mandate to cut Medicaid and Medicare, which is true.
He did his job is what he did, and now he's being punished for it.
Yes, and what bothers me is that those 10 Democrats, 3 of them are in what some people called districts that went Republican. But guess what? Those Democrats also were on the same ballot. You were on the same ballot as Trump, and you still won. So clearly it's you that they voted for. And that's the part that bothers me so much. But I do want to let our audience know who those 10 Democrats are, because I want to give you a number too, so you can call them and tell them how disappointed you are and how angry you are for not standing up. So here they are. They're Amy Vera of California, and our sister Jill wrote a nice message to them on Facebook. Ed Case of Hawaii, Jim Costa of California, Laura Gillen of New York, Jim Himes of Connecticut, Christy Houlihan of Pennsylvania, Mark Kaptor of Ohio, Jared Moskowitz of Florida, Marie Glusenkamp Perez of Washington, and Tom Swasey of New York. Now, if you are upset enough and angry enough at what's going on in this country, here is the U.S. House of Representatives switchboard number. They will pass you through to any House member. The number is 202-224-3121. And I will actually put that in our comments for people. But call all of these weak Dems and let them know you're unhappy that they're just sitting around, playing around, and not standing up.
And let me make something else you aware of something else that you have a right to do. Most people make the misunderstanding that just because it's not someone who is in your district who you voted for, that you don't have a right to call another district and to call them out. Everyone who is in Congress, everyone who is in the Senate, they work for us. So if that means that you have to write each and every one, then you write each and every one. I will be happy to tell you that I'm on like number 15. And I've started with the people who are over me, but now I have gone on and even said, y'all need to get yourself in check. You need to remember that you work for us, and I'm going to need you to step up and do what you need to do. And I specifically pull out things that they are not doing to serve us when we, the people, have sent them there for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
So don't just get in the bag of thinking that you only need to write your congressman and your senator. You write them all. And I'm gonna tell you, number one was Hakeem Jeffries for me.
Yes. Oh my God. Oh my God. Because how are you going to be speaker and say that, well, what can we do? And you know, the thing that really disturbs me more than anything is, you know what, Hakeem, I don't understand why you are trying to be the Democratic leader that Nancy Pelosi was, because we're in a different time. It's a different time.
Everything's
It's a
out the
different,
window, baby. We in a new
yeah.
war.
It's a different time. It's a different president. And the truth be told, even Nancy Pelosi had more backbone facing Trump.
So Jen says Marcy Kaptur of Ohio. That surprised me. She's been on TV a
Mm-hmm.
lot about how much she doesn't like the current administration.
Mm-hmm. But she sure did vote to censor him.
Wow. Wow.
She
So
sure.
what
I
that
just.
tells me that you are a traitor, you are a
Mm-hmm.
backstabber, and you don't need your seat anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be quiet about it.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, honestly, I wrote a letter to Jim Himes, and I am prepared to read what I wrote to him. If anybody wants to hear it.
Go right ahead. I think you should.
I wrote, Representative Himes, I don't know what you were thinking in voting to censure Al Green, but I do want to put you on notice. There are a lot of us in and out of your district who are Black and brown and took offense to the fact that you pandered to Republicans by voting for the censure in what we can only see as an action that upholds white supremacy as dictated by the Trump regime, especially when you did absolutely nothing when Green and Boebert did the same to Biden. This vote was despicable, and I never will again make a donation to your future campaigns. You didn't represent me with that vote, but I will be donating to and knocking on doors for your primary challenger. And I promise you there will be one, even if I have to be the one to do it. But this won't fly. You are in a solidly blue district. It was unnecessary and very cowardly. Get a backbone and stand up or step aside and let someone with courage and gusto to do the thing that needs to be done. People are fed up with wishy-washy Democrats like yourself capitulating to nonsense. Changes are coming. As the assistant principal said to the class of 92 on our first day of high school, look to your left, look to your right. One of the three of you will not be here in 2 years if you don't do what your folks sent you here to do. The same applies here, and you will not be the one returning to Congress if you keep making moves like these that offend your constituents. Sincerely, Aisha K. Staggers.
Wow. Well, thank you for reading that. That look to the left, look to the right reminds me of my days when my first year in accounting. The professor said the first day, look to your left, look to your right, look behind you, look in front, look behind and in front of you. By the end of the first term, 2 of those people will be gone. So that brings back memories. So
yeah.
By the way, I failed accounting and dropped out after the first term. By the way,
no, but look, that was Mr. Williams, freshman year, Wilbercross High School, New Haven, Connecticut. And I promise you, there were 319 of us when 374 of us when we started. When we graduated, it was like maybe 254 or so,
Wow.
250, 280, about that much. Yeah, so there were people that were not there because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. There were girls who dropped out because they got pregnant, and there were boys who died.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on. And before we go further, there's a phone number if you want to call the U.S. House switchboard. Thank you, Aisha, for providing it. And it's also in the comment section on all the platforms except my LinkedIn platform. It's in the comment section. Also, thanks to our producer for helping me out with that. So it's appreciated. Next up, let's go with this one. Back to Mr. Musk. Calls on 47 to pardon ex-cop Derek Chauvin, who murdered
Baby,
George.
this is bait. Y'all don't move. Don't move. Stand still. Stand in formation.
Mhm.
This is a test. This is a test for them to call into play martial law. And that's what
Mhm.
they're waiting to do.
Yep.
Because with
Don't do it.
martial law, he also can go in and say that he's not going to allow these special elections. All right. So listen, don't get riled. Don't let yourself, don't get your panties in a bunch. Be quiet and be ready to move when it's time to move. This is not the time to move.
Yep. And let me be very clear about this. The reason that they chose this case, and remember, it's Derek Chauvin wasn't the only one arrested, but they picked this case and this particular person because of the high profile nature of it, but also too, because remember, Trump is out for retribution.
Yeah.
And one of the pieces of retribution is getting back at the BLM protesters. So they're trying to bring them out. So this time he can actually shoot him. Because remember before he tried to shoot him and the guy told him, no, we can't do that, Mr. President. And so he's trying to do that because how do we know this? One of the first things in the same day that Elon Musk is calling for this, Trump also pressured the mayor of DC to paint over the Black Lives Matter painting on the street that leads up to the White House. Mind you, this is a Washington D.C. city street that he has no jurisdiction over. But that's what happened. And so, like Lala said, this isn't the fight because guess what? Let them pardon him on the federal charges. He still has state charges he cannot get out of.
That's
And
right.
he is right. And he is in Walt's state. So also that's another reason why they also did this. It's retribution.
Yep.
That is Tim Walt's estate.
Yep.
Okay, just to catch up, and I wanted to make sure. So JJ Mars earlier on said 47 and MAGA toying with pardoning Derek Chauvin. And then I know there was a comment that I had here and I can't. Okay, something. Okay, there is a comment, so I need to get up here. Regina says Derek Chauvin cannot be pardoned from 22 and a half years of state charges. It is out on it's out of federal jurisdiction.
Yep.
And
he got charged federally and state charges. Trump can pardon the federal ones all he wants. But Derek Chauvin's not getting out of jail.
And then just coming back to Al Green, April Watts said Al Green did a very good interview on The Breakfast Club.
Yes, he did. I did see it. It was good considering the fact that I don't like Charlemagne the God, aka Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna. I didn't want you to say you were gonna say that again. Okay, all right.
What, lately he's been kind of on point with some things. I'm like, oh, you stepping up.
He has been on point after he spent 3 years dragging Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
All right.
After he was principal in turning a lot of black male voters.
Yeah.
Against her.
Yeah.
It's too late. As far as I'm concerned, it's too late. This right here, what he's doing now is guilt.
Okay. This happened when we were on break. I want to hear your takes on Zelensky leaves the White House without signing minerals deal after Oval Office blow up. Like where I was, everybody, and I was out of the country, everybody was talking about this.
It was rude. It was disrespectful. And I'm sorry. Zelensky's better than me because the moment he put that wrinkled, nasty, cruddy, disfigured, disformed looking hand on me, there would have been swings. At least enough to be like, get off me. But JD Vance, it's like that.
Oh my God.
It was clearly It was a setup. It's like,
It was
how
a
dare you say,
setup.
oh, and then you do this for the cameras? Y'all brought the cameras into something that you didn't need to. Y'all brought the media there. He has no power to do that. You guys did that. And here's the thing. I don't blame Zelensky, because here's Trump comes in with these people and says, oh, I have a deal. He just wanted the photo op of shaking hands with Zelensky signing this thing. He wanted the photo op. He does what he did with everybody. He told them one thing. Oh, yeah, I'm going to give you this. And yeah. Oh, yeah, Putin. Yeah, I'll get that. That's taken care of. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. And then when it came to it, and Zelensky said, so is Putin going to sign this? Because I'm not going to be the only one signing this. Is Putin going to sign? And Trump's like, yeah, well, yeah, he promised he's going to. It's like, what? No. If you were really there trying to create peace, you'd have both leaders there at the same time, signing the paper, shaking hands. You don't just bring one.
That was a
And
good setup, and that was a show for Putin.
It sure was. It was a show for Putin, and it was a show.
It's created such a backlash. I don't even think he was ready for that. I don't think that Trump was ready for that backlash. I think he thinks that showed him as a powerful person who's trying to put someone in their place. But for someone who couldn't even fight for his own country, because bone spurs and all, for someone who is constantly still fighting for his country, to call him out on a suit when Musk never wears a suit, this was nothing but a power move.
I think that comment says it all. And who asked Zelensky?
The guy who's Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend.
Yes.
who showed up wearing a hat. And when they're not supposed to wear hats in the chamber.
Who's representing a media house that just got accredited.
I thought you were going to call Marjorie Taylor Greene a media hoe.
No, stop it. Stop it. So Regina goes, and 47 summation, quote, "This is great TV."
Yeah.
Right. And see, that's how you know it was a setup, because JD Vance says, oh, and you do this in front of the media, and then Trump says that's great TV. Oh, so basically what you're saying is that you planned this, because somebody put out a meme today that I thought was the funniest thing. It was showing JD Vance right before he spoke, and the meme at the top said, inner voice, I gotta say something before I start having sex with the couch. And it said, JD Vance, why don't you say thank you? I thought it was the funniest.
That's funny. That's funny. Listen, if you're gonna dish it, Dr. Vibe, you gotta be able to take it.
Exactly. And then somebody else, who is it? I can't remember if it was Jimmy Kimmel or one of the late night talk show hosts, or I think it was Jimmy Kimmel, talking about Trump's tie. And he said for some reason Trump and JD Vance both decided that they would get ties that doubled as sports cups because they were so long.
They were so funny. That's funny.
He's like, look at him sitting there with his legs open, and the tie is covering his junk. It was the funniest thing to me. It was just the funniest thing, because you look at it and it's like, you ask the question, the dude asked the question about what he was wearing. It's like, you do realize that man he's not sitting up in an office like our president would be if there was a war. He's actually out there with a gun, fighting on the battlefield. So he literally left the battlefield. He didn't just leave his office. He literally left the battlefield to fly a plane over here. And he can't, and he's going to leave and go back. And why was he wearing black? Because that's part of their military uniform. But also, if there is a hit on you, the last thing you need to be, what was he supposed to do? Wear a white suit? Wear a suit with a white shirt?
Is the way the world is reacting, and I definitely stand with Ukraine. I wish you come at me. I don't care. But what I'm loving is there are people all across the world who are standing
Mhm.
up to Russia now even more.
Mhm.
So there is, I think, outside the Italian Russian embassy, they painted the Statue of Liberty thing out there in front of in the colors. Then there was another embassy in front of the Russian embassy that went out, and what they
Mhm.
did in London, they spread the colors of the flag of paint on the
Mhm.
ground. So every time someone drove by, those colors of Ukraine flags on both sides
Nice.
were painted in front of the embassy. The world is tired of this. The world is trying
Mhm.
to be diplomatic, but it's at this point now where we can't be, and you have to stand for something or you're going to fall for everything. And I think the whole world is feeling that. It's not just America. What Trump
Right.
is bringing out in people is solidarity and unity for humanity.
Yeah. I hate the fact that we're going to have no allies when this is over, but I like the fact that our allies are uniting
Yeah.
themselves. And I'll tell you this, I don't know how or why Trump thinks this global superpower of the US, Russia, and China is supposed to happen or function when Russia and China both want to take over the United States. But let him have his delusion. By the summertime, I think that Americans are going to start to wake up. And I think that you are going to start to see um, more people protesting. But I'm going to tell you something. I don't think the people, put it this way, the people who are going to be on the front lines this time aren't going to look like us.
No.
And he's going to have a hard time shooting them.
Yeah.
Okay. Last conversation piece. We are broadcasting live on March 8th, Saturday, March 8th. It is International Women's Day. Ladies, do you have any comments, thoughts on International Women's Day?
I do, because you know what? Women are the backbone a lot of the times of all the movements. We
Mhm.
are by nature nurturers. And the fact that we still can carry this world, birth the men who also run this nation, and still be
Mhm.
paid so much less than what men are paid speaks a lot. And
Yeah.
we are under attack as well as women, because they want us to go back to the places of just being housewives, thinking that that is not powerful, when there is nothing more powerful than a housewife. Okay. Like even a
Mhm.
housewife is just
Yeah.
powerful. But here's the thing. We are being put under the gun by people taking away every last one of our rights like we don't count. I
Yeah.
am here to tell you, ladies, you are more powerful than you will ever know. And you need to step in your power and get in formation. I don't care if Google takes our International Women's Day off of their calendar. I don't care if the government is trying to tell you that you're not worthy. I know differently, and so do you. If we don't give birth, there will be no one to run this country as long as they
Mhm.
disregard us. Know your power of creation and know your power to change this world. Now you're the one who's going to have to make it right.
Amen. I just want to say to the women in the Congo and the women in Haiti who are watching war, who are mothers and watching war ravage country, their countries, and seeing their children being faced with such atrocities. Know that there are many of us who, while we're fighting our own fights in this country, do think about you all.
Yes.
We do speak of you all. We do speak of your plight. And when we're fighting for ourselves, we're also fighting for you. Especially, I really want to especially give my love and respect to the women who are in the African countries that lost their U.S. aid.
Yes.
Because I know what it's like to, struggle, work, not have enough to, pay the bills sometimes and worry am I going to have enough for food and for the light bill and the car or what? It's like, or maybe I'll let my daughter eat and I won't eat so I can have enough money for gas until my next paycheck on Friday. I've
Right.
been there. I understand that, but I cannot. But what I don't know deeply is not having anything and then having something one day and someone taking the very little that you have away, including those nutrition packs. A lot of that
Yeah.
money went to these nutrition packets developed by a Black man it was fortified peanut butter, little packets of fortified peanut butter that kept these kids, that helped these kids with their nutrition. And the fact that we stopped that aid there and the cruelty of it tells me that there's more cruelty to come on our own people. If he can do that to the least, the people with the least in the world,
Yes.
imagine what he can do to people here that have the least. And so I will always have your plight in mind as I am fighting through my own plight.
Exactly.
Okay, you have some comments here. Dusty Bunny says, love to celebrate all kinds of women, but do not fall for the rhetoric that the only respectful type of woman is one that's complicit. We must be changers. Regina says, my thought. Harris is our real president. The biggest tragedy is not having her leading us. Sisters have to stick together, but the Karens are undermining. Despite women are the soul of the world. And if you don't, go ahead.
And I also want, and on this Women's Day, I think we should also give a shout out to two women that we've lost that we didn't get a chance to talk about.
Yes.
Being Roberta Flack and Angie Stone.
Yes.
Women whose music was about liberation.
Yes.
And self-love and being women.
Well, if I have your permission, ladies and audience, I'm going to read a poem.
Yes.
For Women's Day. So here we go. It's called A Tapestry of Light. The year turns, a new dawn breaks, a symphony of strength for goodness sakes. For every heart that beats, a story spun, a tapestry of light where victories are won. From whispered dreams to voices bold and clear, a legacy of courage, banishing all fear. The hands that nurture, the minds that soar, breaking ceilings, opening every door. Through fields of science and art's embrace, in boardrooms, kitchens, every sacred place. A mother's wisdom, a sister's gentle hand, a leader's vision, a shaping every hand. Let kindness bloom, let empathy ignite, let voices rise in truth's unwavering light. For every struggle, a resilient seed, a future woven where all can truly lead. So raise a glass, aka LaLa, to spirits ever bright, to women's power shining ever bright. In every triumph, a shared and glorious gleam. For International Women's Day, a vibrant living dream. Let every woman know her worth, her might. A beacon burning, forever bold and bright. As we journey hand in hand, we'll stride with love and purpose side by side.
Beautiful.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's how we're going to end off this epic conversation. No.
We also have to acknowledge the loss of Roy Ayers.
Yes.
And Dwayne Wiggins of Tony.
Yes. 100%. 100%. We've lost.
Like my daughter said, and I told Lala and Jill this, we are losing our recipes.
Yes.
It's a good way to put it. All right, family. That is it. And that's the first poetry review we've ever had on that's the first time I've read a poem on any of the platforms. I said, today, let's do something for
we might need more of that on this platform because sometimes poetry has a way of saying what we feel, but also making us feel better about where we're at.
100%. All right. That is a wrap. And we's done. Before we leave, I was going to see if I get another poem out, but it's now time for the ladies to share their contact information. And we will go first with the lady they call LaLa.
Well, it's easy to find me. I made it very simple. You can just go to my website, which is www.laurakey.net. I have a lot of free resources there for you. I have a wonderful blog that I love to keep you updated about buying real estate about. And my merch store is also on that page too. So if you're interested in fighting the power and you like to do it with t-shirts and candles and bags and mugs, then you can go there and look at my my merch and then support me there. But I'm also really active now, as Facebook has now decided to continue to punish me for posting Black history facts and speaking out. I am moving a lot of my stuff to Buy Me a Coffee, and that's at buymeacoffee.com/rebirth of LaLa. And I will be happy if you would go over there and support me there as well. You can see my other links here. The Roots and Richness is my merch store, but for now, I've moved everything to the website.
Thank you so much. It's
Oh,
Aisha
nice.
Staggers time.
Yes, you can find me on Blue Sky at akstaggers.bsky.social. You can also find me at Medium if you want to find any of my writing, and you can find me on Instagram at akstaggers. And Regina Frisk, hit me up. We got something to talk about. And stuff.
Okay, good stuff. All right. Finally, moi. You can catch me at the drvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Yeah, man. Especially via the LinkedIn. Subscribe, notifications, share it out. YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, the drvibeshow.com. Instagram at the drvibeshow. X/Twitter, drvibeshow. Email dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And you can also catch me at Blue Sky at drvibe.bsky.social. And you can catch replays of this epic conversation at the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and the Dr. Vibe Show website, the drvibeshow.com. And that's a wrap. So want to say, oh, there's a few more comments here. All right. So, oh, look at this. Jen, love the poem. She says, great show. Nice poetry. Thanks for the show. The Walamata, good. And then Regina says, thanks, good night. So for those people who are Discord subscribers, I will be posting the poem with our Discord group. All right. Is that fair? I think that's fair. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions. Aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. As always, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history. Good if you make both. And finally, make it better. God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith. And you know what? It's so good to be back. Peace.